the gap between Manchester United and Brentford on the valuation of Mbeumo remains considerable. There have been no significant developments over the past few weeks. The two sides are several £million apart, and a deal is still not imminent, but talks continue. So not close. The gap between Manchester United and Ineos remains considerable. There is no significant developments over the past few weeks, and the two sides are still working on a deal, but it is not imminent. So look, that is where we are this morning in relation to that. Absolutely incredible. I think that there are a few things that need to be said here. First of all, I would say that Ineos are no better than the Glazers. When you look at the last 18 months, they've had long enough now, and they have not shown any level of improvement compared to the Glazers. And there will be people this morning getting their knickers in a twist about this statement. But I think when you look at the summer transfer window so far, and obviously the 8 o'clock shows, we've spoken about this in more depth, and Andrew Lee says no ambition whatsoever. I think you put this down to two things at this point. Let's just talk about David Ornstein for a moment and what he is saying. We have a new kit out tomorrow. I said last night, I'm absolutely convinced that something happens in the next 24 hours to help Man United sell that kit. Logically, that would be the Bryan Mbeumo deal. It could still be the Kobbie Mainoo new contract. But it doesn't look like it is going to be the Bryan Mbeumo deal. And we've been working on this since the beginning of June, and it is now the middle of July. We are closer to the end of the window than we were to the start of this deal. Some people are saying walk away. I'll speak about that in a moment, but I want to talk about why we're in this situation. Why is it Chelsea can get João Pedro in the space of a couple of days? Why is it that Spurs are getting players in a couple of weeks? Why are Newcastle getting down to two things? Either Ineos are frauds, which is what a lot of people are saying this morning, or they're completely out of their depth. Either way, I don't give a damn. You are not good enough to be running a club of the prestige and size of Manchester United. You're exposing yourselves every day to a point where it's actually getting sad. Like, I actually wouldn't go as far as saying that I feel sorry for them, but it's actually embarrassing how bad they are. I literally think any Man United fan could do a better job than them. It is, I tell you what it is? It's an example of how not everybody can run a football club, even if they are, billionaires. They are so bad at it. We know the club at the moment is riddled with underperformers and unhappy people, but they are struggling on a major level here. And this is just embarrassing. This is just utterly embarrassing to be in a situation where the deal's not off. The deal's not off. People are saying the deal's not off. The deal is not off. I'm not worried. We're not saying that at all. What we're saying is it's not progressing at all. It's not progressing to a point where Manchester United can get this deal done quickly. It's not close. The gap is considerable. Now, we know we offered 55 million plus add-ons. Now, the considerable gap, I would imagine, is if we... what I actually think is happening here, and I don't think Richie says they couldn't run a bath, never mind a football club. It says deal off for the show. It says deal off ? Mate. There's a question mark. Go and learn a bit of English. And also we're talking about Rasmus as well. It's a news show, so there's also Inter buying a striker. And that deal for Rasmus being off. But thanks for ruining the show. It's a feed into what the show's all about. But maybe go and look up question marks in future. But I think where I am on this one is that this is a brief of elite level. This is a brief of from the club, that they've put this out because they know this deal's not close. They've put this deal out to temper your to temper your opinions. I think they've put this out because we were starting to think, you know what? There's a new kit tomorrow. Maybe the Bryan Mbeumo deal will happen. And I think that's why David Ornstein, I'd love it to be wrong, but David Ornstein's not going to be wrong. David Ornstein's not the sort of person that puts out we're miles off and then an hour later we get, here we go. That's not the sort of expertise and credibility that David Ornstein has built over the last few years. So when he says it's not imminent, there's a considerable gap, you start to worry about the plane to the US a week today. That's what Manchester United have got to do. People are saying walk away. I'll just hit that one straight away because I think there's a reason why we're in this situation. We can't walk away. If we walk away, we admittedly go for plan whatever, B, C, D, E. It might take us long to negotiate, and the club that we go and speak to will overcharge. So let's say we walk away and we go and look at players that we've also been linked to. Well, most of them are gone now. Kudus was one, he's gone. Semenyu's still at Bournemouth, but he would be expensive. So, you know, you're walking away to something that's not as good as Mbeumo. And look, let me just say, the reason we want Mbeumo is because Mbeumo is the best option. He is a good player. The problem we've got here, and I said this a couple of weeks ago, and I don't know what people think. I think United have got themselves into what I called the Jared Branthwaite zone. I think United and Ineos have come into this with no football expertise and have basically said, we're not going to pay money anymore. We're not going to pay big money anymore. We're Manchester United. We're not going to get ripped off anymore, right? And I think what they've done is they've backed themselves into this corner where essentially they cannot back down. They don't want to pay £60 million for Mbeumo because they think they're being ripped off. But Brentford will not take anything less than £60 million. And I think that's what we're in this situation now. We've drawn this line in the sand that we won't be ripped off anymore. We're not being ripped off, but essentially, many of you have said it. I've seen loads of people saying it online. Apparently, I keep cutting out. Let me just have a quick look at this. Might be able to do something that might improve it. Let me know. Let me know. Well, what was I talking about? Yeah. So basically, what I'm saying is that I personally think, and you can say it's an assumption, you can say what you like, but I genuinely do think the reason it's taken so long is because it's not about Amorim, it's not about Mbeumo, it's actually about saving face, because that's what we have in charge of Manchester United at the moment. We have people that are egotistical, based on PR, and I think that they know the minute they pay £60 million, everybody is going to say, you took 7 weeks to do a deal you could have done in 7 days. So I think what they're trying to do, and I think it comes from the top, is if they're going to take 7-8 weeks on a deal, they want to put themselves in a situation whereby they can say, look, we took 7 weeks, but we got the deal done for 55 million. And I think it's a PR exercise. I really do. And I think that's what they're telling David Ornstein. I think they're basically saying, we're nowhere near, we're not going to walk away. But I mean, this deal could, I wouldn't be sat here now saying this is going to happen before the US tour. It's a shock, but it's not a surprise. He might not be ready for the Arsenal game. And I know that's still like 4 weeks ago, but he might not be ready for the Arsenal game. So it is where we are at the moment. It's obviously very, very concerning. It's a shock. It is a shock. It's not a surprise, but it is a shock to be in a situation where we're not actually close. I mean, I don't know how you can't be close. It was 2 weeks ago, certain aggregators out there were telling us the deal was done and it was just the structure of the add-ons. But I think if we offered £60 million, we'd have got this deal done. But I do just want to repeat this. I said it on Twitter this morning. Say what you like. We're all entitled to our opinions. Ineos are so bad at their job, they're actually worse than what we were with Ineos, with the Glazers. We were better on the football side of things under the Glazers than we are with Ineos. This is our worst summer transfer window since David Moyes. This is the worst. Like, David Moyes came into the club and he never should have got the job. but he had a terrible summer transfer window. I think we didn't buy anybody till August. We bought Fellaini, etc. This is without doubt the worst summer transfer window we've had, and I think that Ineos are an absolute disgrace. I've heard a lot of people calling them a lot of names this morning. I think fraud is always a hard word to use. I wouldn't go that far, but they're definitely incompetent, and they have had 18 months. So you have to look at it and say, what a disaster of a summer it's been. And I don't know whether it's strategic. I don't know whether it's sabotage. You almost feel like it is sabotage, but they're sucking the love out of the club, aren't they?